This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
Of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number one is consent agenda items. There was a request previously for executive session this evening. I didn't include it on this particular agenda for just a couple of considerations. One, council has been made aware of any updates that are available. The attorney was unavailable to attend this evening, and we will likely have executive sessions pertaining to that issue in one or two of the next two meetings. But if council feels that is necessary, this would be the time to make that request.
It is necessary. The public needs to know what's going on. I know client footage and all that stuff, but I don't know. People I talk to are like, who's getting sued? Who's paying for it? You know,
So what from the executive session would be communicated to the public?
so we can, I need answers on several things. I'm not gonna bring them up here. But, I just got the question about why certain things are being done with. Yes, make a motion, this is executive session for next meeting, the
24th.
24th.
We can add that anyway.
Yeah.
We can add that without it. I'll be fine with this. Would you like to make a motion or just we can just put down?
Just put it on, right? Do that.
Yes.
Well,
Yes. So withdraw the motion.
and that's gonna be for February.
I will put it on the agenda and have it there. And you withdraw your motion.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, other than that, we just have the regular consent agenda, approval of minutes for the meeting January 27th, and then approval of the.
I'd like to make a comment on the minutes. I get calls regularly from citizens that depend on the audio portion of the meeting to catch the minutes, since the minutes are officially on the website, and the written minutes to us are condensed down to where a lot of the comments are included and so forth, and I think they should be. I would like to see this audio portion of this council to improve work and be legible, and audio is available to a few people that are watching the meeting. I'd like to see that taken care of ASAP.
I don't know if you understand.
I think that's something we've been working on, it's been a concern, but I think it's also, well, they've been working on it behind the scenes, but it has been an ongoing concern. So if you guys would maybe just do a little figuring with it, we don't have to IT come out or.
The question I would have is, the written minutes, my understanding would be the official minutes for legacy purposes, but for audio, if there are official minutes, that would change the audio. We'd have to maintain them in perpetuity eventually. And so, is there a time frame like the past 5 years,
Probably starting now, I mean, it would be an improvement of what we're doing right now. And it's been stated to me in the past that the audio portion is the official minutes, because the minutes have been condensed down considerably that have been written down and presented like in our council packets and so forth, where it's been said to me that the official minutes are the ones that are recorded and are on the website as the recorded meeting. I think we need to straighten that out for ourselves.
So sound quality is the
Yeah,
complaint.
you're right.
You can't hear.
You can't make any heads or tails. And I if they want to do that, they need to be able to get them. And also, I like to, sometimes I need to review what was done too, and I go back and I can't understand what took place. I would like to see that, if there still are funds that are available for that or something, or that, something. With that, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
We have a motion, Councilman Malat, a second from Councilman Shriver, will you please call?
Bishop,
Yes.
Malat,
Yes.
Shriver,
Yes.
Adcox.
Item number 2, request for comments from the public. Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 3, your staff presentation of the 2024 year.
Mayor, Council, thank you. I will start, and we're moving into, am I clicking or are you clicking?
I got you.
And I apologize, this looks a lot bigger on the PC screen, and I see that it looks a little small on yours as well. It's a formatting problem here that we didn't have time, 20 minutes to change buttons on the big screen, so bear with us just a minute. What you're going to hear is actually what's in front of you, which is the 2024 year-end report, 30 plus pages. That sounds more daunting than it really is.
The little screen right
Try
there.
to keep it simple, graphs.
Click on that.
And, data-driven agencies, our departments, our fire department, police department, and so you'll have a lot of data from them. The other departments are more narrative, if you will. You know, we do have benchmarks that we can kind of assess our progress from, but it's not nearly as data-driven as those particular ones. What you don't have in this PowerPoint presentation is any of the parks and rec, the engineering, or the planning and zoning, but you have that in your report here. Should you have any questions, you can certainly ask them. We will go in order. The administration will be the first, and then we'll follow up that with public works, and then you'll have the public safety. Those are the primary for the report today. So what we have here is a very small print, folks, so I'm gonna put these glasses on. I introduced this to you some time ago in early 2024, probably late 2023, that our staff would focus on these 3 particular purpose-driven priorities, and that's a citizen benefit, a governing body benefit, and the city organization benefit. And essentially what we're saying is what we're doing aligned with those things. Are they centered, citizen-centered in the sense that are we delivering a service, a program? Are we spending money in a way that's focused on getting a benefit to the citizen? The governing body benefit is about goal alignment. What is it you want to see in your community, and how do you want staff to then carry out that vision? In addition to that is creating opportunity for informed constituent messaging. Right? We tell you about, for example, this is the budget. Here's a document called the budget brief. Very easy to see. You can look at it and say, hey, we in 2024, you'll see that budget brief on here. That shows you that we lowered our mill levy this many years. It gives you something for messaging. When we finish a project, it gives you something to message about. Hey, we did that street project, or we did that sidewalk project. So are we goal aligned, and are we giving you messages from the city that we've accomplished these things, and you can go out and talk to folks about it? And then the city organization benefit is about efficiencies, it's about service delivery, and also about, do we have a good culture here? We want to recruit the best people. We want them to be, doing well. We want them to be competent, that sort of thing. So those are what we focus on. And to that end, I think we did a lot of hard work that we can't cover in just this hopefully hour or less today. Well, there's been a lot of work put in it, good teamwork, and I'm pretty proud of what we did. But you'll notice our mantra is invest in what we have. And I probably said that since July of 23. We've got to invest in what we have. Something I noticed since November of 07 that I noticed we just have not done is we have to invest in our infrastructure, our facilities. We got to take this money that we get from our folks, and we got to put it back into this community, and we got to do the things that they want us to do, and you're the message of them. So goal line, there you go. So invest in what we have, and to that end, we accomplished a number of things. Project management, this was one of my probably most demanding pieces of my particular job. There's a number of moving parts in all of these, and there's probably another 2 pages of lists. But I'm not gonna talk about all of these, but I've briefed you on these things, but they take a serious amount of time. You know, the silent crossing is something I inherited. I think Mr. Malat probably said it every meeting, if he didn't say it every day. What are we doing? That thing stalled, so we had to resurrect that a little bit and get it back on everyone's radar. We finally got that done in 2024. It's pretty darn successful. I like not hearing the train, you know, horn. And when you do hear them, it's something unique now, right? You know, what are they doing? You know, so 98th Street, all of that project, the whole thing it is very demanding throughout the year. We have phase one, and where we're at on phase one is they're working north now with the Riverview and then north on 98th Street. Then they'll be putting in the sidewalk and the trail, and they have some infrastructure to do. And they're on delay because of utilities, as we well know, and that should be done by Memorial Day. That's the time frame there. The phase two has been awarded, and that will be let within the next 12 months. And then phase three, we were on the funding line, just barely below the funding line. So if someone drops out, we will be more than likely have that funded as well. So with a slight adjustment in phase three, a little different than phase two, which somewhat matches the first phase. We know we accomplished Kansas Avenue, 104th Street sidewalk. The Richland project continues. One of the things that is coming in 2025 very soon is the Town Center Connector. Well, we spent hours and hours on that, and we've had 2 presentations before the council on that one. The municipal complex, that facilities project is not going away in the next 3 years. We're going to do that probably every week from here on out. We worked on the bond election, myself, you know, a number of presentations, working with our attorneys and that sort of thing. The IRS audit was the kind of the lingering, and that was about every 3 weeks we had to come and find different papers and all that. It was a lot of work, but it was worth it in the end. And I'll say this, you know, you approved 130,000 not to exceed, and we got that thing down to 29,000. So that's a big swing, folks, and that keeps our money in our pocket, and those things we corrected. So the historic cemetery, I think, was well worth that little project. We wanted to delineate that pathway and make sure we have parking, all the things we already have, invest in what we have. And so we're doing that. Economic Development Coordinator position, we introduced that in 2024, and we've had 2 opportunities to talk about the contract with a couple of folks, and we're trying to solidify that as we go. So a lot of things going. One of the things that we're really proud of today that I think is really beneficial as we move into some of these other presentations is our ERP Pro, which is our financial software for Tyler Technologies. I appreciate the support from the council early on. That was the first thing identified. Our department has had no idea how to get to their budgets, how to put information in, extract information. And I lived under that system for a number of years, and it was very, very frustrating. So it's hard to ask our department heads, which you said as a priority council, is that, hey, let's hold them accountable for spending the money we authorize, right? Not go over your budgets. It's hard to do that when you don't have the information in front of you in real time, and we have that now. I can tell you, we only took several hours to reconcile our changeover. That means our bank account was in good order, and we've been doing good things to keep up with that accounts and all those other things. So we're real proud of that. There's lots more of that coming. We have utility billing, the court, we have permits and that sort of thing. So there's lots and lots of work that has been done. So we've accomplished a lot. Thank you. Our fiscal sustainability. I made a presentation early on in 2024 where I said we're not focusing on our financial wealth. We're talking about our financial health. That's where we have to start. One begets the other. But as we well know, we were on shaky ground. Clearly lost some footing in our bond review, and that was all about some management issues related to deficit spending, that sort of thing. We performed well. We implemented these 4 strategies. These are very, very common, and that is about a balanced budget, debt management, revenue diversification, and cost control. Revenue diversification, we implemented that immediately by researching what our authority was to invest the money we had. You're talking $14 to $16 million never invested that made $28,000. When we invested our money, we made that more in 1 month. Right, so we went 12 months, year after year, without an investment strategy. Really. So that was one of the first things we did is to say, this is one piece of revenue diversification. I talked about the economic development coordinator. We're working on economic development every year. However, we want somebody to focus on us because we need that diversification. What do we need? Not property tax burdens. We need to vary that, right? We need something else, and that means other revenue sources. Okay, so sales tax is a primary source. And so we need to work on that and recruit and advocate for ourselves. Cost controls, first and primary source. In my previous experience, we went months and months without really talking about the budget. We talk about it every week. We have several people in this room have spending authority, right? Somebody has to control that, right? And not only them, but somebody above them, which is me, and so our objective is transparency. Let's talk about what's coming up, what are we doing, that sort of thing. Cost control. And oh, by the way, if you can say, let's say, right? And we understand what your authority is, we understand what your needs and your wants are, but we have to balance all that. Debt management, you've had your debt, you've been educated on what our debt is, and we're in a good position. We really are. And we have debt falling off in the upcoming years, but we're adding debt as well. And we can add debt because we have capacity. Our debt management is a philosophy such as this. We have an opportunity to go out and issue debt to reimburse the city a few thousand, $100,000, $200,000, or whatever. But it may be a better policy, debt management wise, not to reimburse ourselves because it eats away at our capacity to go fix a road and do these other things. Maybe it is we just somewhat take it on the chin that it was in our budget, we spent the money, and now that's a part of our just overall management of our fiscal position, right? And so that's about our debt management and making sure we're in a healthy position. A balanced budget. You can see in 2024, we did not have a balanced budget. We had a deficit budget. We did that knowingly. We went into this where we just had somewhat of a whirlwind, a lot of changes, a lot of things that were unknown, variables, and thus we had a $213,000 deficit. But we hoped and really worked very, very hard to not even get close to that. We wanted to be completely opposite. And so the first thing we were burdened with no money, and we added people, right? And that's just a terrible formula. And so the first thing we had to do was say, I have to take this on me. So we're not going to do that, right? Let's get in a healthier position first, and then make these decisions. Did those positions were they not warranted? No. There's no argument that we all agreed, hey, these are good justifications, but we're not in a healthy position yet to do that, right? And maybe we do it in a different way, right? And so we had time to step back, and so we didn't hire those. That really helped. If you look at these budgets, reports that you'll see, I'm waiting for the audit, so you see the official audit numbers, but our department has really, really worked well, worked hard to save money wherever they could. So you can see in the 24, the performance unaudited, I'll repeat that, 7.9 in revenue and 7.3 in expenses with a surplus of $800,000. Now, you have to understand that we already had a surplus in the previous year of $875,000. Add those two together, 1.7 million. We doubled. And so then the next piece is we adopted a budget that was balanced for 2025. Actually, it's not balanced, right? Anybody catch it? It's a surplus on purpose. We are in a healthy enough position. We're going to generate enough revenue, and we kept the expenses in control to where we expect about a $200,000 revenue. Now, here's a warning very quickly, is that we have lost $250,000 from the county for our sci-fi. But we still have roads to repair, right? We still have to make that budget work in one way or another. We're going to cut that. So this may be where we find that we could transfer a little money or spend a little more money on the general fund to do our streets, okay? Because that's a priority. You give up 1 year doing your streets, guess what happens? We know that, right? We just lose all that momentum. So there's your budget in brief from 2024. Pretty simple. I like the bottom one there. I included that when I envisioned this, that rate drop. And again, in our meetings where we talk to the folks about the facilities in those town hall meetings, I purposely drove this piece home because I think it's really good council messaging. This is why you don't do revenue neutral. You don't have to do it all at once because we've been purposely lowering this to where it's more suitable, more doable, and then you don't have to make those drastic. And if you do, it's not so drastic, right? It's not such a big impact. And here's our 2025 budget in brief, a little different. What I like about this is right in the middle, it shows you where your money's being put to work: police, fire, admin, and public works. And you'll see that 23 cents in admin includes court and some of these other things that we do, not just the city hall itself. You saw where, if you look at the admin piece where there's a 45-ish, am I reading that right, 45% increase there in the general fund? We funded a number of professional services that we didn't have funded the previous year. We have so many things that are approved by council, for example, that are engineering, that there's no fund for. There's no money set aside. We didn't bond it yet, so there's no money for it. So it has to be paid for, and it has to have a place. So we actually have that in that budget. I think there's a revenue driver, and transfer, for example. There's additional transfers that have to come, and they come from the admin. So, okay. What do you got for me? Permits, 635% increase in, guess what, building permits, and that would be great if they were all houses. But guess what? We had a big hailstorm, right? Everybody's like going crazy, this whole thing. And so roofing was really our building permits, and it also impacted our business licensing, and that increase is about, what, 65%, I believe. You can see then the next utility billing management. One of our first conversations, folks, was near $400,000 in uncollected monies for utilities, right? We pay 100% to our disposal company and to the sewer. We pay 100% of the bill, right? But we were collecting at one point 49%, just barely over 40. It was very close to 49%. Then we moved it up to 62%. We knocked that down since July 3 of 2023, a little over 300,000 to $116,000 at the end of December, January 1st. And we did it by these 5 things. They're more somewhat definitions, but if there's an inactive account, we pursued these proactively. I think the word I argued with back in the day was aggressive. It's not aggressive. This is our rights, and people, your neighbors, just like mine, we all owe our piece. You know, if you owe a bill on these things. And so we went to collections, active accounts. Sometimes when they get behind, we have payment plans. We've been very reasonable. If you come forward and say, I'm just really struggling here and I'm behind 7 months, well, zero is zero. But, right, anything above that, we're in a better position. And so we have negotiated a number of these things, and most people have complied. And so we really will continue this to get to zero and collect. It'll never happen, folks. We'll always have some sort of payments to collect, so that sort of thing. But the only note I'll make on that is this is the year to renegotiate the terms of our agreement and go out for competitive bids and that sort of thing. I've been satisfied with at least their customer response, and I think they've done a decent job. However, you know, I think the way we set this up maybe is not in our best interest. So, next. Municipal court. I've been happy. Let me tell you right now, we stumbled out of the blocks. This was a hard transition, but Mr. Nye and I, we worked closely with all the stakeholders. I think now we've had some transition in some personnel, and I think now we have the more technical people that we need, and some bilingual diversification, that sort of thing, that I think it's just even going to gain more momentum, and we're all getting the system down, we're all getting on the same page. And I think the biggest notes here, when you talk about the municipal court, we decreased our fees paid to the county. We were averaging about $10,000 a month back in the day, but right now, you know, it's only about $81,000 a year. That's still a lot. However, that's not just because we're not throwing people in jail. We're making different decisions on that. And then our municipal court fees increased about 4.4%, and our overall collections was at 463,000, which is about on target. So I'm not disappointed in that. I know we again had a little bit of just growing pains, if you will, but I think we're really on track to do 2025 will be a pretty successful year in the municipal court. I'm tracking with you. Okay, that's my presentation. I hope I didn't go too fast. I'm just trying to get people through it. So do you have any questions or comments for me, specifically when we move on to public works? again, you can always bring these up next time after you review the material.
Will this be sent for email as well?
Yeah, if you'd like, yeah, sure can. And I'll introduce Brian Hutchison, Public Works Supervisor.
Councilmember Mayor. Thank you for hearing me tonight. No pun intended here, but I will be your shortest president for here tonight. Not by height, but by slides as well. I'm just gonna touch on a few, topics that are important in the public works, that I see, for managing the city's infrastructure. And that starts off with our traffic sign. When I got here a year ago in February, it's dawned on me that, there was some terrible need for signs there. We've made a small step into it, reaching out to about 78 signs this year, that were some way under par. A lot of those new signs, new bases, new posts and everything. Here's an example one there. We found that was out of whack a little bit and straightened it up. Storm drainage repairs. Storm drainage repairs are a little bit hard because this is the stuff people don't drive on it. It's underground, they don't see it, only we see it. In that, with the maintenance we need to do, we cleaned out 23 cross culvert pipes. Cross culvert pipes aren't cleaned in debris, settlement, and all that. This task is never ending. We're trying to catch up with what it was. Roughly, there's probably about 63 locations in the city. We went out and touched at least 23 of the worst ones that we could find, and still to this day, we found another one today that we didn't know about, just from traveling the streets and taking a look at other stuff. Okay. Sanitary sewer repairs. This will probably be my longest talk on any of my topics this year. My very first day coming here to UG called me and said, "Your pump's not pumping." And I was like, "Okay, good. Nobody's flushing the toilet." "No, Brian, that's not right. It means your pump's not pumping. You've got a problem." And I went, "Oh boy." So graciously, you all, we spent quite a bit of money. Brought two of them. It's a 4-pump system down there. We brought 2 of them up with new computers, new pumps. We're at 50%, but you know what? Right now with the new pump in there, it's running this city just fine on 1 pump. So thank you for that. Okay. Street maintenance. A lot of this stuff Mark already talked about. One thing I wanted to key on here is you know, when you think of street maintenance, it's just not rebuilding the street. It's taking care of the streets you have that are in good shape before they go bad. Because once they go bad, you're behind. We touched almost every street that had striping, got fresh new striping on it. The shoulders that are beat up down off the 98th Street by the truck traffic got rebuilt. So I mean, maintenance can be a lot of different stuff there. Base repairs, emergency base repairs. We're already identifying some of those with the winter that we've had. Getting ready to have some more tomorrow night. There's going to be additional emergency repairs. That's something that's going to occur every year. Okay. General maintenance. We maintain the streets, the sidewalks, the stormwater, but what we first got to make sure we do is maintain our equipment. If your equipment's not in tip-top shape, not having maintenance, you're going to have to expect repairs. Luckily, here's a picture that we can find with the new skid steer that we were purchased, and it's already saved a lot of time already. Have not had a problem with it. It basically loaded out all the salt out of the last salt mine in that last snowstorm. I don't think we would have got that out of our old machine without a breakdown for sure. And then a picture of the crew replacing the cutting edges. One storm wiped through all our cutting edges on our plows. We're starting this new storm tomorrow night with all fresh material, all fresh equipment.
Right?
Yes.
But did the old one sell? You know,
It did. I know total for what we sold through Purple Wave was about 39,000. I think the old one sold for 22.
the old one sold for 22.
Yeah. It went to,
We'll get you the actual number, but it was surprisingly high.
That's close enough, man.
Yeah.
it went to some small town outlet. It really surprised me.
Cool, thanks.
Mowing, last year, when I came in and we were looking at the mowing, we never really had a schedule. It was like we mow 4 times a year, but what's a mowing season? mean, 4 times a year doesn't tell me anything. It should be 4 times the mowing season. So basically implemented, making a round down the street every 6 weeks, going that first 5 feet back, sight distances, ground signs, ground fire hydrants, implemented that. We actually this year, got rid of this piece of machinery right here and updated to more of a flail mower, that should be a lot more responsive and quicker, so that the 2 day of right away mowing, and this can be cut down to 1 day. Next. Special projects, last year was what, I looked at was quite a bit of special projects. I remember when I first came in, Mark said he wanted to rebrand, wanted us to give us a fresh look, well, we did that. Almost every building at the park got painted, the community center got painted, public works building got painted, the shelter house at the cemetery, including the benches inside got painted, just gave everything a fresh look, a nice clean look, that hopefully get back brand the city's, the citizens' view of the city. Any questions?
I can tell you, I've heard multiple comments over the last year in how much better our city looks across the board. The park has been, it's just a 180 from where we were before, the snow plows this last season, and I guess we're still in the middle of it. I just heard a lot of positive, so thank you for all the work you guys are doing.
I don't know if that's the one.
And Cal,
You do?
thank you.
Chief Whittle. Well, the railroad we weren't tied to. Sure. Yeah. Mayor, council members, good evening. On behalf of the fire department, I'll give you the lowdown what occurred in Edwardsville for the last calendar year. Part of the biggest significant events that occurred in our agency and organization was the staff that was direction of peace. Everything that took place was based on the 3 principles of everything driven by citizens, the governing body, and the organization itself. We started the year with the parade. Our ambulance was the secondary ambulance at the mass shooting in downtown City. We were recognized by the Kansas Board of EMS Association because of the participating agency within that shooting. And that year just kind of set the tone for everything else that occurred. But also 24 had some major highlights with it. 24 was the start of our billing for non-residents for another vehicle response. 2024 was also the time when we set that and implemented several other factors with that. We put in about 180 man hours cleaning up some trees on 98th Street and Riverfront Park, which we'll put back up starting here at the end of February, the first part of March. But everything in our significant events deals with staff. None of that can be done without the dedication of the staff that we have within our organization. Recruitment, retention, and maintaining our employees should be paramount in the fact that we look at. Then we look at in the budgetary process. We have some of the best staff around. We have small caliber city driven employees that represent this city on a national level for staff representation, delivering presentations at national and state delivery conferences as well. But remember, the fact is staff drives everything. When we look at our primary focus on this new piece, if it wasn't for staff, we would not provide the services we provide to our citizens. And that includes having record numbers of responses per year. When we look at it, 1,334 responses was the first one we had that number. Out of 1,334 responses, we sat there and we had to determine factor what was the automatic aid we were going to do. We were going to jump 500 responses, we were going to go 1,000. In 2022, we ran about 1,254 responses. 2023, we dropped back down to a little bit over 1,100 responses. We saw about 120 calls increase because of automatic aid agreement. The sky didn't fall. We still provided services to the community, although we did have a slight increase in an uptick in the responses we had. We had 929 medical calls. Out of 929 medical calls, we had 28 cardiac arrests in the city of Edwardsville. We had 2 successful resuscitations in those 28 cardiac arrests. We had 74 traffic accidents on our roadways. We had 18 fires and structures. Not all of them were complete structure fires that had fires through the roof, but we had 18 fires and structures. That does not include outflow. 233 other calls for service. that might be your grass fires, that might be vehicle fires, that may be odors of something burning outside, that could have been a carbon monoxide alarm, that could have been false alarms. 8 years ago, 7 years ago, we implemented the fee for service for active fire alarms. That year, we tracked the data, we ran about 195 activated false alarms in the city, in the industrial complex. In 2024, we ran 80 fire alarms. We maintained that, implemented that fee for service for that. All 80 of those calls were triggered because of either the water flow alarm or something that activated, indication of a fire facility. And then we had 80 calls that were canceled en route. Now, when we sat there and looked at a lot of our responses to calls, because of the 2024 automatic aid agreement, we also picked up and implemented the emergency medical dispatch procedure out of downtown, which classified our calls based on the acuity of the nature of the call. So we do not respond emergent to a lot of the calls that are low acuity medical calls, carbon monoxide detector calls, activated fire alarms that have no subsequent necessary needs that says there's an emergency there. If it's just a heat detector that goes off and that's the only source, the truck will respond, not emergent. If we have a heat detector and a water flow alarm that's simultaneously going off, that is implicated for maybe an emergency in there, and then we will use the lights and sirens to set there and give a response, because it reduces the liability of us getting involved in an accident. Again, centered toward reducing the hazard to the citizens and not putting the city at liability risk of getting involved in an accident. So when we look at 2021, we had about 1,090 calls. 2022, we ran 1,252 calls. 2023, we ran 1,196. Like I said, we ran 1,334. This year, which was a slight bump. When I talked to Chief Richards of Bonner Springs, they ran about a 9% increase. KCP, and I talked to Chief Green, they had about a 5% increase in calls. For Bonner Springs, that increase they had was about a 200 number of calls increase. And with Chief Green, trying to get the final number, but they were close to about a 6,000 increase calls service. So calls are going up though nationwide and have been tracking since the early 90s. But when you look at it over a 5-year trend, we have still been trending higher every year, and we will continue to trend higher over every year. The general factors that are driving this is medical calls are going up because the population is getting older. Our population is tending to spend more time calling 911 for non-emergencies that are on for ambulance. And we have an overabundance use of using emergency medical services for something to be a routine call to on teledoc or going to urgent care. So when we look at our call breakdown by zone. Yes, sir.
On the 1334, that includes our aid agreement runs too.
That agrees, includes our aid agreement run. We have another slide on that here shortly. We'll break it down by areas we try to aid to. But yes, that was overall. So if you look at our calls by zone, zone 1 being south of K32 and west of 94th Street, which is the heart and the majority of where the majority of our calls go for, will always be the driving factor of a southern end fire station, was 490 calls. You look at all the other 4 zones in between there, that one zone capitalizes all of them. Zone 2, K32 and north, east of 102nd Street, I was 832, west of 102nd Street, at 107 calls apiece. That includes 435, that includes everything along River View. That also includes all the call pattern up along I-70 because of the automatic aid agreement. Zone 4 is our mobile home park, which is 219 calls. Zone 5 is south of K32, east of 9th Street, being what's classified as goes down in the industrial complex at 74 calls. And then unclassified, which is out of city calls, would be 337. Next slide. So our average response time for everything in the city is 5 minutes and 51 seconds, up from the previous year, 4 minutes and 35 seconds. Before everybody starts to have a panic attack, it's not because everything all of a sudden sky fell. Because of the lower acuity calls, of when you sit there and call 911 and you stub your toe, or you have have a headache, and it is properly screened, or it's a carbon monoxide alarm, we are not terrorizing the neighborhoods and lighting everything up and screaming with lights and sirens to make a call. Our shoot time to be out the door is 60 seconds, 30 seconds from the time we're notified that we get the truck stressed out and going. We are not sitting there violating speed limit calls and everything else. We sit there and push traffic laws and respond. We sit there and look at the increases in zones. Also, we pulled and extracted from the data the amount of times we had that response of less than 15 seconds being the walking to the station, the responses to PD for a blood draw, responses to City Hall, those immediate around there, sit there and screw the data by almost 45 seconds, sit there and pull the data off. We pull those factors that we're out there. Our large response time is our unclassified zones, or our out of city calls from each way, drag us out to the 12, which is standard that you would expect because of that.
In comparison, very quickly, Tim, of that, 435 to 551, was the same protocols in place for those lower impact, incidents that
Not that we were following all the time, like we did under the city process, because we were not having the exact same amount of data in our CAD system because of not having access to it from the auto agreement. So when we went over the auto agreement, we found the classification of the 5 classifications of EMD data.
So having a non-emergent response, right? That wasn't quite factored into that 435.
We were just given the type of call and that was it. That was the CAD dispatch to us with the automatic agreement. That was the system with the acuity of the call notes, making more appropriate response determination for that.
And one more point for clarification, you're out the door within the standards, is that right, by times?
Yes, sir, 60 seconds. So crews averaged or logged 120 training sessions per shift for the year, including numerous joint training sessions between Bonner Springs and NCK because of the automatic agent. Most of those specified joint low and high rise training plans and response plans that were adopted as part of the automatic agreement. We sat there and maintained all of our wildland firefighter qualifications and recertifications for all full-time personnel. We have 5 part-time personnel as part of the wildland fire response protocols. We maintain their qualifications as well. And then our EMS continuing education training for all of our personnel. That is a combination between EMT and paramedic certification. We conducted 61 commercial properties inspected as required by the code. We also conducted 6 memorandum of understanding inspections completed within a cooperation with the Kansas State Fire Marshal. And then we did 2 fireworks stands inspected and permitted. In 2023, the state fire marshal took back all home daycare inspections, so it took the department off of us, and it took back to schools. So it reduced the number of inspections we have at home daycares. In 2025, state fire marshal took back all convenience stores. So we will sit there and reduce the number of MOU inspections we have for state fire marshal next year. We will not have those remaining gas stations. We will be down to 2 restaurants. So, Mr. Bishop, here's the question that you had pertaining to automatic aid agreements. We provided aid to 324 towns last year as part of the agreement. 13 of them were the Shawnee or other agencies outside of Wyandotte County. The rest were within the county. Out of that time, though, we also received aid 103 times. Out of the 103 times that we had aid brought into the city, 71 of those were for EMS calls. 11 were for traffic accidents, 18 were for the fires and structures, and 3 of those we ended up canceling the responding agencies in because we ended up bringing the unit to be clear. We provided aid out 324 times, 221 times for an ambulance, 26 times for traffic accidents, 14 for fires. We were canceled on 63 of those calls. We need to look at when we call aid into Edwardsville, 71 times for an ambulance. That was 71 times we did not strip the fire truck down to 1 personnel and bring back myself with the deputy chief of staff. There's also 71 times we did not have a delay responding to that door because dispatch automatically sends the next closest ambulance into the city to start the response. did, like I said, increase our number of responses to Shawnee and outside being, Leavenworth District Two, which is on the other side of Bonner Springs, because logistically and strategically, we're just as close to Bonner as the station. So they're doing a little bit more responsible over to that part. Leavenworth County, which is about 11 miles compared to what the Johnson County. Next slide, please. So when you look at the trends that we had the year before, 2022, we went to Bonner Springs 115 times. In 2023, we dropped down to 79 times. The reason why we had to drop in 2023 to Bonner Springs was specifically because that's when we started implementing the full-time and part-time staff. That was the reason for the drop there. We ran twice in the KCK in 2022 and 6 times in the KCK in 2023. Like I said, that was kind of the trend going because Bonner was a little bit more resilient to rely upon us because they were an all-volunteer fire department. Staffing was to 1 and 2, where our matrix stepped in and allowed us to staff at both angles at the time. And like I said, 2023, Bonner started implementing the part-time staffing. They have more staffing in there, start hiring in their full-time staff. Slide. And then, like we said, in 2023, we had 169 calls, which is approximately 14% of our calls that overlapped previous calls within 15 minutes. And 78 of those that overlapped within the 60 minutes to where we would have to call for help because we had status 0 or both of them being out and bring people back in, which we do not have that problem now because of the automatic data agreement. So there is no delay when a resident picks up the phone in Edwardsville. We are busy like we were a couple times already this year, working a cardiac arrest event with all 5 of our personnel. Automatically, the dispatch center has sent Bumper 20 and the Bonner Springs EMS unit to one of the nursing homes for a call, or to one of our residents on the north end. They sent Rescue 6 and Medic 19 because they were the next closest units when we were tied up on a small fire area in the downtown area. Because there's no delay anymore, asking us, do we want to send, we just got to do appropriate agreement. When we sit there and talk about the benefit for our citizens, the automatic aid agreement is one of those benefits. Most definitely. We also look at the benefit of the response personnel of having 24 people show up on the scene when you do have a fire in the house. We are more efficient, more hands working effectively and efficiently within the first 10 minutes.
I do have one question, and it's probably irrelevant entirely, but Lake Forest, so the entrance to Lake Forest is Bonner Springs, and I see you in there once in a while. And I guess my question is, how do you get in there with that gate? Because they wake me up sometimes when they're sitting there blowing their whistles trying to get in because the gate's not open. Is there a simple answer for that?
For some reason, the sirens, everybody sits there and thinks it's supposed to activate the gate, supposed to, it doesn't. They've not figured out the codes on a tablet to sit there and punch the code.
But it's a totally irrelevant question, except I hear that a lot, and I'm wondering how people are suffering at the lake because somebody can't get through. I don't know if that's something that you should communicate with the chief and Bonner for that, or I'm not trying to get into the business, but I do notice that quite frequently. That was just my comment.
And I've got the code from him, so it's gotta be his issue, couldn't tell his truth, how to get the gate. But
Thank you for that. That was very concise and good. I'm very happy with the automatic gate responses that you had.
Yeah, there was,
Kind of questioned that, in the beginning, and it looks like it's working out. Pretty much everybody you can.
like I said, it did increase us to go out, it's like it's a lopsided event because we're getting used more than what we get back on the flip side. But that's because we're strategically located between 2 cities. So, I mean, either way that you kind of split the pie, it's like being the middle baby out of 3. If you're not the favorite, because you're the baby, and you're not the one getting beat on the most because you're the oldest child. It's kind of the redhead child in the middle, so it's just kind of how it looks out.
Thank you. That's very good report, in my opinion.
Another note that amount of runs we're up, it actually gives our personnel more experience.
Yes. And the level of experience they've gotten from kind of running into the western side of Kansas City, Kansas, and working on larger multiple complex fires, even running third and fourth and fifth pieces on that, it increased the level of training against working that complex situation.
Thanks.
Very good. Chief Lance. Sorry for the stereotype small, good thing you brought me to
I brought notes and I'm glad I did.
I didn't do it on purpose.
Mayor, and to everybody, appreciate the opportunity to talk about the great things that the police department did in 2024. Next slide, please. So the police department's main goal is to provide a safe community by prioritizing crime reduction strategies, increasing community engagement activities, and the effective resource management and personnel development. And so one of the things we did in 2024 is that we really emphasized community outreach, because there's a lot of positives that go with community outreach. And through that, some of the things we did was we assigned an officer to, as one of their main tasks would be to do community outreach events. We hosted Waterfest, which was very well attended. We had over 350 people. I know the sheriff's department talked about how many hot dogs they gave out. They brought 350 or so, and they gave every one of those out. So it's 100 people attended. I'll tell you, we sat in the Dunkin' Cop tank at Waterfest, and I never drank so much water in my life as I did that day. It was very successful. There were a lot of people, a lot of kids having a great time at the Dunkin' Cop Waterfest. We assisted with the community dinners, several of those throughout the year, Spooky Express and the Mayor's Christmas Tree Light. Those are all well attended by our citizens. We organized a clothing drive for the elementary school, and we were really emphasizing putting our word out on social media. How do we spread the word of what goes on within the police department? Because it's an effective tool to reach more members than we talk to on a daily basis. And we're also going through what's called the Kansas Law Enforcement Accreditation program. So it's trying to professionalize the organization, make sure we meet certain standards, and we're going through the state of Kansas with that to get accredited. Next slide, please. So you'll notice throughout my presentation, I include a lot of pictures. And the reason I do that is because I'm very proud of the staff and the hard work they do every day with the police department. And I want to make sure that they get the recognition they deserve for the work that they do. So this just shows some of the events that we did. We donated some equipment to another agency, old equipment we have laying around that we won't utilize anymore. So it's good that it's going to good use versus just getting thrown away. We donated gift cards to the elementary school staff, obviously Waterfest, the clothing drive. When the big boy came back through town, we were out there just interacting with our citizens. There was no requirement to do that. We just thought it was necessary in order to kind of have these positive face-to-face interactions. And we had coffee with the cop, which was well attended as well. Next slide, please. So these are some promotions and some assignments we did in 2024. Captain Short was promoted to Major Short, Lieutenant Todd to Captain Todd. And the reason I thought that was necessary when I came on board is that I'm guessing 10, 12, maybe 15 years ago, other organizations around the metropolitan area, they all made that same transition. And what it did is it allowed our individuals to walk into a meeting with other staff and other departments and be equal rank with their counterparts, so that they have that immediate recognition and understanding from their peers that they're not talking to a lieutenant if they're captain, they're talking to a captain if they're major, and that sort of thing. And it just brought our staff up to a level playing field. We promoted Corporal Robinson to Sergeant, Officer Valley to Corporal, Officer Marshall to Corporal, Officer McCullough to Corporal. And Officer Adams was awarded our K-9 officer position. He's been going through a ton of training. Hopefully he'll get released in the next few weeks, maybe. Of course, Major Short walked off just as I was looking for confirmation with that. And we brought on Officer Neo. He is our canine. It's really hard to see in that picture, and I apologize for that, but he is a great looking dog, a lot of energy, and we think he's gonna be a great member of our department. Some officer awards for the year: first quarter officer of the quarter was Corporal Marshall, second quarter Officer Adams, third quarter Sergeant Hart, and the officer of the year was Major Short. And I read a lot of the emails. What we do is we take information from all of the different staffs, and who you vote for, give us some reasonings as to why the person needs to be the officer of the year. And they send emails in explaining why they want to do that. And I read all of them myself. And Major Short got a lot of compliments for his leadership prior to me coming on board, and just all the support that he gives the officers in patrol and the entire department on a daily basis. And it was well deserved, and it's good to see him recognized as the officer of the year for that. And then we had a couple of vacant positions that we hired, so we brought on Officers Clark and Parisi. They're both doing well. They brought experience with them from other agencies, and so they absorbed pretty quickly on our department. Next. Sorry.
There you go.
All right, so incidents by number or incidents by year. So these are the reports that we've taken. As you can see, in 2024, we had 1,712 compared to 1,796 last year, so we're not far off. That's pretty average there. 2022 was a busy year for us, but 1,712 was about average. Next, please. Time of day. These are incidents time of day. As you can see, the busiest hours, if you would say, would be 8 to 8, roughly. That's where you see all the incidents. And what you got to kind of take into account there is that a lot of those are walk-in reports and things that happened the night before. And so if I was to move all my staffing to days and say, hey, let's put everybody on days, because that's where all the reports come in, then I'm not being proactive and out on the streets at night trying to catch the people who are breaking into cars or stealing something from somebody, or those sort of things. So it's a fine line, the balancing act of the way you assign your staffing. Next slide, please. Calls for service by month. As you look through that, it looks like May and June were low numbers, and we didn't do as much, but the truth is there, the computer-aided dispatch that KCK uses for their dispatch center was down for 3 weeks, and it was right across May and June. So I'm estimating we're missing probably 1,000 calls within those 2 months, maybe a little higher. So that would bring those up on par with the other months there. So next slide, please. Calls for service by year. Again, 2024 looks low. I'm guessing if we were to add roughly 1,000, we're probably higher than 2020, and pushes somewhere close to 21 and 23 numbers, based on the ones that were missing. Next slide. Incident comparisons by year. These are broken up by crimes. And so you can see at the top there, property crimes. 2024, we were one higher in property crime, and 2024 persons crime, we were a little bit higher than 2023, and drug crimes, we were lower. Now, it also says that 24 our canine officer, who one of their main purposes is drug interdiction type stops and helping our officers, search for narcotics, and he had retired, left the department, so we're still without a canine, so it's probably natural to see those numbers drop. Next slide, please. Our crime index. If you look at this, our crime index in 2024 is 19.9 for violent crime. As you see, that number is significantly lower than the previous 10 years that I have on there, and the research that I did, I couldn't find a lower number than that. So that's good. That means crime is trending down for us, but we're talking such small numbers, because this is only talking about violent crime here, because that could easily spike next year with just 1 or 2 crimes, because we're talking about such small numbers. Next are citations by year. The orange there is the actual citations written by the officers, and the blue is the warnings. So we're on par with previous years on that. Next, arrests by year. 2024, we had 680. Compared to the other years, we're about on par with those. Next. Yes.
Just for curiosity, where the citations that you issue, where is the influx of them, the main place you write those?
They write them all over town.
So it's not like the section 9 or whatever gets more than it's kind of equilateral across.
Yes, because we get complaints of certain areas that might have seniors in that area, so we're focused all over town. I know we kind of sometimes get a little rap of, hey man, they're always up on 435, but I can tell you that we're constantly telling our people that, hey, if you want to run up down 435, make sure that there's nothing, going on. You have to catch a violator, great, but get back into the neighborhoods, make sure we don't have people running stop signs, we don't have people speeding through school zones. And there's a big push on that to make sure that we're focused all over town.
Okay, and then the other question I had was back on the crime index. Just out of curiosity, but I'm not being involved with police, hopefully. The reports that you write and the incidents that occur, how many would more likely be a resident of Edwardsville versus the people that are from out of town? They're doing crimes in Edwardsville.
Suspects or the victims?
Well, just on the crime index, when you write reports on crimes or whatever, would they primarily be residents or would they primarily be people from out of town?
It would be the location wherever the crime took place. So let's say they were coming here to get gas and they stopped at our convenience store and they were robbed right then and there. That's where the crime took place, and whether they're a resident or not doesn't matter related to whether the crime was reported.
Well, I guess I was trying to figure out out of the town of 4,600, how many are crimes? How many are do crimes,
Yeah, so, but if you look at our numbers here, we're talking, obviously we had 2 rapes, we had 1 robbery, 14 aggravated assault batteries, and so the numbers, as far as those violent crimes are very low, which means there's not a whole lot reported throughout the year. And so that's why I was talking about, if we had, let's say, 2 more, it might skew our crime index quite a bit higher, or if we had 2 less, quite a bit lower for the next year. So you're playing with small numbers like it's, I could dig out, try to find out if these are actually residents of the city.
I was just curious. I didn't know if you had an answer you could figure out or not. That's not necessary. But I was just kind of satisfying my own curiosity.
Very good. It's typically wherever the crime occurs is where it's reported. So residents really doesn't matter when it comes to crime.
These reflect crimes that happen, that are serious crimes, right, according to the FBI, that happen here in Edwardsville. No matter where the victim or the suspect was from, it happened here. You could have somebody who comes to town, the gas station, for example, and suddenly they have a gun pointed at them, and they could both be not from here, but the crime was reported at that house.
Thank you.
Where were we on citation? We talked about citations, codes, I believe now. So code enforcement, these are broken down by districts. I believe our district's map, which the fire department was using. And as you can see there, zone 1, which is everything town is catered to, it doesn't include the mobile home village. That's where our primary call driver is too, because that's the condensed population. So we responded to most calls there. Type of code enforcement by our code enforcement officer. You can see it's broken down there. The print is very small, but you can see environmental is typically the biggest thing that they focus on, which is trash, maybe yard waste not removed, somebody spilling oil, those kind of things. And so those are the biggest drivers of code enforcement. Not to say he doesn't do other things, because as you can see, he worked on at least 325 complaints this year. So he's a busy person. So, any questions? All right, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I really appreciate the community focus. I believe that in Heritage, a very professional organization, and so kind of moving that on to more community outreach has been really, really beneficial and noticed over the last year. So thank you for all your efforts.
I appreciate it. I'll have a quick comment on that. The reason that I believe that's hugely important, not only for the support of our citizens, but also what it does, it garners support when we need them. Meaning if there is we want to have a who's going to vote for building a new facility, if we're out there in the community and we're having these positive outreach, we're liable to get more support. If we have a crime that occurs, and we have these connections because we've been out there and we've been interacting with the citizens, they're more likely to talk to our people and makes the crime easier to investigate. So there's a lot of positives by doing this on a regular basis than just kind of us only reacting when we have something come up. Very good.
I was going to mention to the fire chief also, I've noticed several grant applications and things that you've been working on a regular basis. So thank you for all you're doing, saving our taxpayer dollars. It really goes a long way. presentation?
That is it.
Okay, and great news from the city hall. I think we had a lot of great reports tonight. So, financially especially, that's been a lot of really, really good news this year. Item number 4, consider motion to recess into executive session pursuant to KSA 754319B1 to discuss matters of non-elected personnel related to the position of city manager. Once again, not to make anyone alarmed, this is just regular evaluation type of stuff, no concerning matters here. So, let's see, I would say 20, let's first return at 7:30. Anyone would make that motion, it'd be appreciated. Oh, I'm sorry, governing body.
Make a motion to recess into executive session, KSA 75-4319B1 to discuss matters non-elected personnel related to the position of city manager to the governing body, and the time at 7:30.
Second. Motion from Councilman Shriver, a second from Councilman Adcox. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Bishop, Malott, Shriver,
Yes.
Adcox.
This conference will now be recorded.
The motion from motion to return to regular session, a second from Councilman Shriver, Councilman Malott, Councilman Shriver. Will the clerk please call roll?
Bishop,
Yes.
Malott, Shriver,
Yes.
Adcox.
Wonderful. Item number 5, city manager report.
Yeah, nothing. I have lots of things, but I have nothing.
Covered it earlier. Councilman Bishop.
As you can see, I did not win the trip to the Super Bowl. I know, man.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm Brian.
Okay.
Good luck this next few days, brother. It sounds awful. Need some help, you got my number.
I know where you live too.
That's right. No, that's it.
Councilman Malott.
I'm gonna say that I got a few things. I made contact with, like a page or an aide or something to Sharice Davis the other day, and Mike Williams, he's local now. And I made mention to him that, Edwardsville needs some help with the postal service. And I told him that, I do get complaints, and I witnessed a lot of problems down there, like operating hours of it, for one thing, which is from 9 in the morning until 1:30 in the afternoon for the lobby. And a lot of times you go in there and the service is pretty poor, sometimes a little attitude when you go there. Sometimes they don't have stamps, and I've just made these mentions to him to see if we could possibly get some help from the federal government on trying to update that post office a little bit, make it a little bit more convenient. When they close at 1:30 in the afternoon, I think with the traffic on 32 highway, the rush hour type of traffic, I think the police are probably backing up, probably more like 2:30 to 6 when the budget traffic comes through. And people are dropping in there to mail something, to get some stamps, get parcel post or whatever. And they'll carry boxes in and they'll pull on that door and it's closed. So just to enlighten the council, I was on, when you mentioned earlier about Simon Crossings, I'm gonna start kind of being that way on the post office. When it was closed for that time, when the car ran in the back of it, we had to go to Wyandotte West for our mail. We were treated like, can you say it, credit as children when we go up there, like, oh, you're from Edwardsville, oh, I have to go get your mail now. I think you probably all remember that. And I put a bug in her record, her age, or whoever he is, with Sharice Davis, that maybe on the federal level, we could get a little help on that. So if something would come your direction, that's where it started. And I hope everybody's kind of on my side on that. And I don't like 2 zip codes in Edmonds. And I think if there was some kind of way you could get Wyandotte West out of our situation and get whoever takes care of Harvest Springs into our situation, I think it would do nothing to help us. How many times do you put in for a credit card and they say it won't accept it because the zip code is wrong? You have to change that 111 to 113 and so forth. Anyway, I just wanted to make you all aware that I'm trying to start a little dialogue about that. The other thing is, I'm going to just talk to Mike. You mentioned in the report that you gave us Friday about crossing across 32 Highway at 4th Street and the possibilities of that culvert collapsing and possibly closing that highway on 27 or 28.
Yeah.
Repair that.
It's absolutely coming. Fourth and K-32, that's a KDOT project on the radar. When we talk about the years, they're using their fiscal year. But I would expect by 26 to 27, some in that season, which would be 2027, February, for 9 months, the entire intersection will be closed. It's deteriorating, and maybe use the word collapsing, potential collapse, right?
Yeah.
The drainage underneath needs repair, it needs replaced, quite frankly. And so there is a detour plan, it's a big long list. The city's gonna be involved in several ways, and historically, that they've always complained about the drive right there, which is on the west side of 4th Street, to the post office parking lot. And that it's not something they would ever allow in this day and age. So I would expect that in addition, if you want the sidewalk, and if we do that in partnership with the KDOT project, which we should, because it's much less expensive, that will have to be curbed and redone and closed. That's their goal, is to close. So the road will be fully taken out. Our light poles will be moved. And if you notice, there's 2 of them with traffic's hidden. Those things are in beat up shape. They're not really trustable. But more than likely, the city, using KDOT's buying power, is going to have to replace, upgrade. There's going to be a number of different things that will happen at that intersection. There will be 3 ramps for ADA. If you notice now, the crosswalk on the south side, 4th Street, right, that at the post office, if you will, has no ramp, but we have a crosswalk. There's not even a sidewalk there.
Light control box, grass.
They are so surprised that they even put that, those lines in there. It's not really a standard, hasn't ever been a standard. They're gonna put those things in. However, there will be some sidewalk that they will pour, and now is the opportunity for us to then extend the sidewalk to Dollar General. They're already planning for that for us. They're gonna do all the estimation, they're gonna tell us how much, and then we decide yes or no, probably by July. But understand that for 9 months, they can't do this piece by piece. That thing goes across. If you notice where, I'm gonna say Doug's Mufflers, anybody know that's who that is, right? Not there anymore, but where that car shop is now, right in that ditch, which would be to the west of that, is the drainage ditch. And then it crosses the street north to the west. So east to west crossing, and then they're gonna tie in again to our drainage system as well, and do all of that work. And so it's a pretty big to do, and we have loops in our poles for our traffic lights, meaning when you drive up to it, it reads a loop, the loop is pressurized, right? And then it changes the light, cycles the lights. It's not radar. So every time they patch that road, mill that road, do anything, they tear it up. And they're like, X, we're not gonna do that anymore. More than likely, they're gonna encourage us, work with us, and we'll go to a radar system. So with all of these little things, the city of Edwardsville has said, here is our wish list. Whatever you can do to help us get to this point of upgrading our, the utilities in there, the boxes, the light poles, all of that. Tell us if we incorporated that into your project, how much it would cost us in a couple of years from now. And so they're doing that as part of their project, and they will let us know. But I would anticipate if you look at Third Street between the post office and the convenience store, it's a total mess. My request is, could they then just do some resurfacing when they do their servicing of that? May need to be done earlier, if we're gonna divert traffic, which they will. Once that's closed, that can't be used, that's private property, can't be used as a road, right? So you think, well, and they're gonna close it farther south on Fourth Street anyway. We're trying to fix some other provisions so that there is an east-west between Fourth Street and Third Street. Because otherwise, where do you go, right? You'll have to go circle back, go all the way along, route to go west. It's gonna be very difficult from Fourth Street, right? Because you got a long ways around. So really their routes are, primary routes, I-70, 435, K-32, depending on where you're at, and K-7. So that is how they're routing. And then we have some local responsibility to kind of route things. So that there is a summary of it. They're investing quite a bit of money, and we're hoping that our partnership with them will facilitate some improvements that we've already wanted to do. We'll get some added improvements, and it's probably time that those lights are cycled out in the lifespan. So again, those are never cheap. The poles themselves are not cheap.
Probably the lesser issue than having that highway closed.
Yeah, but I don't know if we have tools.
I'm not looking forward to a 32 highway closed for
Yeah.
so that's going to devastate.
The problem they have is the way
Not in Rockville, they can't have those trucks.
it narrow the lanes and things like that, it's just nearly impossible.
I don't think when we put that in, I don't think we had to close it.
You know, I couldn't speak
I
to that.
don't know, when we put that in.
I'm just suggesting what their plan was, you know, and I think similar to the I-70 ramps, which will have to be closed October, for the Bucky's project. It's either 3 months, or that project takes maybe 12 months just for those ramps, if they keep them open. So they'd rather close them and get them done. That's kind of what, this is the same thing, it's almost impossible for them to not close that, to take that whole thing.
Put stoplights up there?
I'm sorry?
Putting stoplights up there?
You know, I don't know, as far as the Bucky's exchange, that those exchange ramp, I-70, 110th Street, the full plan, but they have to improve the ramps. The sight distance is absolutely a problem. The volume of traffic, the way you know, the egress and ingress off, in and off of those, they have to be improved. And so I don't know if it's gonna be traffic light or not. I don't know.
The plan.
That's the dimension.
Yeah,
Start making it nice.
no, they're just improving those ramps.
Turn off.
Yeah.
Okay, ramp.
And they need to close those, I think they suggested October for 3 months. That's what I have on those.
I noticed, and I'm gonna bring up Chuck Stites thing now, and I'm gonna start on that. Driving around now that the snow's kind of melted and gone away, I think maybe we need to work on our trash trucks, on the trash that's on our highways. 32 highway is horrible with the plastic, I call them plastic eagles, Walmart bags and so forth. And on 435 on the north of the river all the way up as far as you can go, the trash that's on the sides of those roads. And I think that whoever is throwing out that trash is caught, the trash truck. And they have a big function up there, the race is gonna be going on up there, and they have all the people that come into town and they come in and you mow the right away and you roll up plastic bags and all that. I'm gonna sound like Chuck Stites. I'd like to do something.
Councilman Shriver.
Want to thank you, Mark, and all the department heads for all their presentations. Very interesting. They all do a wonderful job putting all that information together, leading their departments. And Brian, good luck as well to everybody. That affects everybody. The police had a couple of, posted and everybody, just, I'm ready for the spring. So, so our trash service, that is coming up this year.
Yes, ma'am.
Will you reach out to the mobile home park too, as far as, I know, I thought we kind of done that, but anytime we're trying to renegotiate, to say, hey, you guys want to run with us, it kind of would affect the rates in a good way, but I don't know if you planned on doing that or you have a
I
contact.
think we
here.
kind of consider them a commercial account, that's why they could have their own,
Right,
you know.
right. I didn't know if you could reach out and, I think we used to do that, or the city used to do that, but I know they've changed so many times. And I agree with you too, Garrett, about the post office, how much the city can do though. I mean, as far as, we went through that
Yep.
when the building was shut down and people were reaching out to us and had the whole place filled. But I applaud you trying to make some improvements there.
I mean, back in the past, when I first got on council, they said if you start to tour with the zip code, you're really getting into some big territory. Well, so what? They're gonna wanna re-address every, in other words, put different house numbers on everything. So, I mean, it's deep.
I know in that previous experience, they told us no. Right.
I know.
The council even wrote a letter,
Mhm.
joint letter, if you
Right.
recall.
Right.
And they put up the temporary boxes 2.5 weeks before the post office reopened, and then they took them right down, if you remember. They put those like community mailboxes in that
Right.
belong to you. So they can be a little difficult. I have Sharice David's information and her liaison, and so I can certainly put an email out there. If you want a joint letter, that's certainly, and people do complain about our post office running late.
Well, even if they change the operating hours, or extend it.
No, and I agree with you. All we can do is ask.
And another thing is that building needs to have some code enforcement. I say that very quietly.
Next Monday is a holiday. Will that affect task force the next day? By the way,
No, I don't think that one.
It doesn't?
No, it's mainly the primary holidays or the major holidays. Yeah. I can double check, and usually we send out a post of some sort that says, hey, what's your
Okay. And I agree to one more thing, so looking to the sound system.
Yes,
If you could, that,
we're gonna do it again.
I
We
know.
may have to invest a little money, so
It's necessary,
Yeah,
so
I agree. I didn't realize it was so bad.
that's all I have.
Councilman Eckhart. All right. So I think Garrett and I are on the same track on at least one thing. That was the post office down here is something that was a topic of conversation, with, Senator Marshall's office when I met with his representative, not too long ago. And so hopefully if we're running some concerns up a couple of different paths, maybe we'll get some responses soon, so that would be great. While we're talking about Buckley's, the intersection is what reminded me, is we may need to have some discussion eventually on any agreements with the use of our sewers. I assume that will be coming up sometime soon.
Yeah, the difficulty there is it's not with Buckley's. They didn't buy the property all the way, and so we're dealing with the unified government, not Buckley's. So it started all over, and we have a meeting again this week. We've just not progressed to anything that I can give you that's solid, like in writing, as far as, but we're trying to work out a deal. Keep in mind, one of the biggest factors that we have is maintenance of that. And, there's been nothing, we don't even know if the seals are still sealed, barely runs any water or sewer through it at all. And so those are some of the things that we face is just the overall, should we have a major failure in our sewer system, we don't have enough cash on hand to pay. We'd have to go to bond. So just FYI, that's not, it's just because we haven't had our town only has about 1/3 of the sewer capacity, right? In the sense of how many customers we have compared to those people on septic systems. So therefore, we don't have a big heavy cash flow in that particular one because we have less customers. And so, and then of course you have maintenance and things like that. A sewer pump, remember, $92,000 is spent, that sort of thing. So in a sense, that one of the risks that we have is owning some of that and not being able to pay or having to go and bond in our capacity or get a KDH loan or something, that sort of thing. So just keep that in mind. We're well on our way to what I think is something reasonable, but we just need them to finalize what they're doing and have us a formal proposal. And once that happens, then I'll have it to you. That's
I think, and you guys love to speak up if I'm thinking along the wrong lines, but since it's DHA particularly, is supposed to be watching out for the entire county and not just Kansas City, Kansas. And because that development will limit what we can put on our side of the highway, I'd like to see something in perpetuity, not just a one-time payment, but like an ongoing CID, something creative. And I think it would be a lot more feasible for us to consider negotiations if we didn't have a pilot being enforced in our state by the unified government. That's the same body.
We already issued our will serve before they made their, which is in other words, the city of Edwardsville said, we will serve you, and that's so they could secure their funding and anything that they need, right?
Could we say that?
Well, it's just in a sense that for Buc-ee's, for example, they need, hey, will you service? It's there. We're going to connect to you, right? This will be, we just need you to, so we can progress the project. It's very common. And so we have jointly, because now Buc-ee's is not, we're not serving Buc-ee's, right? We'll be working with the unified government. So they issued a will serve and saying, hey, so the project can progress, very common. It just says we will provide the service. And it's a commitment that's saying, hey, when you get the funding and you're doing your development and all this, you will have this service, this
But we
utility.
need to agree to that.
No, that's correct. And it's not uncommon to say, hey, we have this utility that, okay, we made offers to them to say, hey, let's start the negotiations. This is in line with what we did for Skinnell, for example. And so, but what we have to do is, we can't say it's going to be a connection fee is going to be $1 million because it's not going to. That's not feasible, right? And so we say, this is our connection fee. We have ordinances that guide that. This will be your customer service, right? The fees for the sewer that gets treated, we're charged for the unified government, and then we have a fee that's a little higher than that, right? Because then that's how we make our money, for example, to maintain the sewer as a customer. Well, that's all gone from Buc-ee's now. It's all the unified government because a large stretch of that sewer is going to be the unified government. So we have to, it's two utilities if you really think about it. So now we have to approach it just a little differently, right? So we have said, okay, we're working on this. That's what the will serve is. We're working on this. Go ahead and proceed, and then we're going to work out an agreement and meeting. And that's where we're at. We've had 2 meetings with the unified government. Their last meeting, they had some proposals, but their main people weren't there. And so they moved that up the chain. And so then we'll come back and talk to them exactly what is it you're asking for and what is it that we're asking for, because we're not going to give away the farm. I'm telling you right now.
Right, I wouldn't use Skinnell's agreement by any means to dictate what we're doing in this situation.
And just as a reference, since you guys know what it was that they did, they built the infrastructure, right? They had a connection fee, even though they dedicated that infrastructure over to us, right?
And
So-
I think what we learned from that a little bit is how this sort of agreement can have a drastic and big impact on our city, on our residents, on our infrastructure in our future. And especially when it's such a large development going right across the highway that will potentially almost certainly limit what development can go on our side of the highway. It should be more of a, well, we're not gonna get a Buc-ee's on our side of the highway.
No, I
there's
get,
one
you
on
mean
our
the
side.
type of,
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
type
okay.
of development. It will limit the type of development, and so some of which we're already considering us, you know, that's no longer gonna be in the picture with Buc-ee's. And so I think there's just a lot we wanna learn from previous situations and make sure that we're looking out for that long range picture. And personally, I would be more inclined to make any sort of agreement with unified government after they remove the pilot. I think that it's the same thing board.
That's a big ask. And just, that's why I asked about the type that you were, like the type, I totally agree, the type of development. But as far as volume, don't be concerned about that. There's plenty of capacity, plenty of volume. And when we drilled that, we drilled it for more capacity, more pipes to be put in through that. So we do have the capacity on our side and can expand. It's just our line.
For sewer 101, Scanell property, okay, they go to our pump.
They do, of course,
Cross
we
Hard Rock, under the highway.
Yep.
And then down into Beck Creek or whatever it is, at 98th Street. Is that what, and they,
Well, it goes to treatment plant 20.
which I don't know. But
Yeah,
it goes under the highway, but it's our line in
Yeah.
Kansas City, Kansas.
On the other side of that, it starts Kansas City, Kansas, on the other side of the highway, right?
And
So it
Buc-ee's
goes,
will go in on Kansas.
Chateau Avalon is where, about, if you think of the area where,
That's where the Buc-ee's.
yeah, towards that area.
So,
Now that's where the UG is gonna connect it to. Buc-ee's is gonna connect at the end of their property.
okay, well, you did that. Why are we even involved in that if it's
So it's our utility, owned and,
just the pipe?
yes. Yep, but we own it, we have all the right of way, all the easements, it's ours. Yeah, absolutely.
So then the fee would be on, when Buc-ee's hooks up to it, then they would be charged, not the.
Yep. So
Just
the,
like the industrial park down.
yeah,
This is sewer 101.
so when we do have, say, a commercial development tie into the sewer, there are fee structures for that connection fee. And I will say, when I said what our fees were, the UG folks, they were very surprised because they're much lower. And so they were really surprised by that. But, for example, there was a negotiation, as we know, and it's clear as public record, with the Scanell properties, that they paid their connection fee $100,000. And then they built all of the infrastructure and deeded it over to us. It's our infrastructure. So all the right of way to serve that particular property. And that connects to the Village South Parkway area that goes to the Forest Main. Forest Main goes to Chateau Avenue. Just think of that. So, yeah, we're working it. There's no way that I'm giving away the farm. I've been made it very plain to them. I'm not giving anything for free. And so if there's a way, as you might know, the UG is not loaded with even debt cash at this point. And so they're being very careful on how to structure things and what to offer. We'll wait. Sometime this week, we should hear from them. And as soon as that formal document comes forward, you'll be able to see it, feedback, and then we can go from there. So,
Or the Mattel theme park going to go in and do it with.
well, and again, that's gonna be a UG issue more than anything. And that's part of their long-term thinking is what do they do? Even though it's Water Springs, it's gonna be.
Other than that, sorry to.
No, that's
there's just
fine.
Lots of people said things and I thought, oh, yeah. Last thing is, just this afternoon, I got some feedback from KDOT as far as some potential, funding that might help us with K32 and 4th Street as well as sidewalks and intersections. As we're working that, I thought we might be able to merge those together. And, what a great opportunity it would be for us to come up with an overall plan for what we want that to look like. I think we had one a while ago, but maybe refreshing. What do we want for K32? Because we talked about the sidewalk going across on the north side of K32, sidewalk going to our businesses down West Street,
yeah.
K32. So it might be just a good idea instead of pulling, individual thoughts together, just have an overall plan so that we can maybe apply for some of this grant funding as well.
Do you have something specific that?
I'll forward it all to
Okay,
you,
yeah.
so you have it. There's 3 different options, and she said it just kind of depends on our timeline, how we want to go about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of it includes safety. which I think we can easily make that case for us. There. So, anyway, I think that, last thing. Thank you so much for putting the presentation on the screen. Even though it was smaller, I think it just helps people to follow along and see, as they're watching online or as they're here, just to be able to see what we're doing and what we're looking at. So appreciated that, and thank you guys for working on the audio going forward.
Thank you.